Hi, welcome to Heroic Lives. My name is Michael Kress. Today we're going to be looking at a tough saint. Just how tough? Stick around and you'll see. Tonight's saint is Moses the Black. He's also called Moses the Ethiopian, Father Moses, Moses the Ascetic, or Abba Moses. Moses the Black was tough, and to give you some form of comparison, let's look at a modern-day outlaw, Cole Younger. Cole Younger is the last surviving member of the Younger brothers, part of the Jesse James Younger group, and they robbed banks and did a lot of bad things. Cole Younger was actually mentioned in an earlier video of mine in Blessed Solanus Casey. And so Blessed Solanus Casey had met with two of the Younger brothers, Jim and Cole, and had been instrumental, at least in Cole's life, in changing the course and trajectory of it. Now, Cole had been an outlaw, a bandit, and probably much worse. And he ended up converting in 1913 to Christianity. He went to an altar call, not specifically Catholicism, but he did turn his life around and was one of the few, I think he might be the only James Younger person to really turn his life around through faith in God. Now let's look at Moses the Black. Moses the Black was born in 330, we believe, and he was a slave or servant. Again, the language is not always clear in antiquity. The word servus, meaning servant or slave, but anyway, he served a court official, and the court official took a set against him, and probably for good reason. Moses the Black did not have a good reputation at the beginning. He was a really big guy and seemed intimidating. You think of movies where there's a great champion or a great foe, and maybe that was him. He was just one physically imposing guy. To boot, he also did a lot of bad things, and he was, to start off his career as a bandit, accused of theft and probably murder. Moses the Black was forced to flee, and the law was after him. His home territory was not the American West, like Cole Younger. His territory was the Nile Valley, and there he organized bands of robbers and outlaws who did all sorts of horrible things, as you can imagine. And his physical strength, the anger that had grown within him, the violence, it all had really almost consumed him. An example of that was one day while trying to rob a man, the man's dog alerted him and prevented the theft. Moses the Black swore vengeance on the owner of the man's dog, and by that he meant he wanted to kill him. With a knife in his mouth, he swam across the river towards the man's hut, and there he intended to kill him. The man's dog barked again and once again saved him. And this is a turning point. It's interesting how the one action, such a small action, the barking of a dog, saved Moses' soul, quite likely. Because after he fled, he grabbed a few of the man's sheep and sought to hide. But the law was after him. And as you can imagine, the law in 4th century, actually now 5th century Egypt, was not one where there was an appeals process. Moses was running for his life. He had a lot to think about, and as he entered the desert seeking refuge away from those pursuing him, he ended up coming across the desert community of monks in Sketi. It's not far from Alexandria. And there he hid for a while, and the monks took him in. And something happened to Moses that I'm sure he had not anticipated. The monks were caring, and they had patience, and they had virtue and hospitality, and they had purpose in life. And the man who had been so violent, so physically imposing, underwent a 180-degree transformation in the desert. Spending time with the monks, and I wish I knew more about this. If you know anything more, please comment below. But at that time, what must have been an epic change in his heart. And he became a Christian. He asked for baptism and continued to stay with the community until he became a member of the community in Sketi. Moses the Black was still a strong man and could have done great harm when several robbers and bandits broke into the monastic community and actually entered his cell. Moses was strong enough to subdue them, and he could have even killed them in self-defense. But he managed not to, and he took the robbers to the community and said, "I don't think it is the Christian thing to kill these men." The men were allowed to actually stay, and according to what I've read, became members of the community. Moses the Black preached hospitality and charity for the rest of his life, and though he lived an ascetic life, a rigorous life, he never forgot that. And sometimes when the asceticism and the mortifications were just too much for some of the monks, he erred on the side of hospitality. He was always reminding others that he came from a life of sin, and that they were all sinners, and that they all deserve forgiveness and leniency. Moses the Black eventually became a priest and the head of the community, where he was called Abba, or Father. I think akin to modern day abbot. He was a desert monk who went from killing, robbing, attacking people, and swimming rivers with knives in his mouth to becoming an ascetic monk. And the reason I brought up Cole Younger earlier is I think that's a great comparison. Cole Younger did change his life, and that's great. But look at how much further Moses the Black went. He didn't just convert, which is always the first step in eternity. He converted, and then he 180-degree changed his life. He became a desert monk and spent the entire rest of his life till about the age of 75 being an ascetic monk in the desert, leading others, practicing hospitality, but also penance and mortifications with his confreres. Moses the Black is certainly one to think about when we think about changing our lives and turning away from our past sins, but never forgetting them. One example of that is when Moses the Black carried a bag of water or a sand, it's not clear which. It was dripping behind him, and one time a monk was supposed to be disciplined for an infraction. He carried the bag and pointed to all the sand or water that was dripping behind him and said, "Those are the sins we all carry behind. Those are the sins I carry. We should be lenient with our fellow brothers." And he was loved for it, and now he's a great saint. So if you're looking for a saint who's tough for his patronage, one for a devotion to, think of Moses the Black. Moses the Black, pray for us. Remember to subscribe below so you see all of the saint and prayer videos that are coming up on this channel. And also leave me a like if this has been useful or interesting to you. I appreciate it. Have a good day.